Hello and welcome back. My name is Ted Kulakevich and this is Ted K Studio. Today I want to show you a step-by-step tutorial of how I designed this logo in Figma. The other day I was hanging out and I saw something that inspired me to whip out my phone and jot this logo down. Now this is a very rough concept and I want to show you the process step-by-step of how I take something like this and convert it into a real logo. So let's jump into it. So the first thing I want to do is scale this up a bit, give myself plenty of room to work with. And I'm gonna put this to the side and I'm gonna make a duplicate copy of it and I'm gonna set it to 50 or 40% and lock the layer. Now that it's in the background and it's locked, what I'm gonna do is use this as a reference point when I'm building out my vector objects. So let's build these elements out. What we're looking at here is a triangle shape that encompasses 3 smaller individual shapes. So what I'm gonna do is gonna go to the top left here and I'm gonna select polygon and then I'm gonna start drawing that. What we're gonna wanna do next is round the corners. So adjust the corner radius and I'm gonna set that to 50. Now that we have our main object, I'm gonna create the inner pieces here. And as we scale this down, we have to adjust the corner radius. So the corners were a little too rounded and I lowered the radius here. Now what I wanna do is make things semi-transparent so I can line them up properly here. And what I want to do is make this object large enough so that it matches that curve happening in the triangle there. Now I'm going to copy this and I'm going to rotate it. And we're going to line this up here as well. Now let's make this smaller to match what's happening in the image there. And then I'm also going to scale this down a bit to match what's happening there. Now that we got our shapes built out, let's move this over so that we don't have all those scribbles behind us, just so it's easier for us to look at what we're doing here. Now what I want to do is actually convert these into strokes. So what I'm going to do is select all of the objects and click Shift X, and that outlines everything into a stroke. And now I'm going to change the stroke settings to center, and then I'm going to scale this up a bit. Let's see what that's looking like. So very clean, very geometric, just because we used geometric shapes. We didn't do anything custom by hand. And that's really the key to these geometric logos. And just like that, really quickly, I have this object. The key to any great logo is not stopping at your very first variant. It's continually exploring and creating more and more options, which is why I constantly copy and paste just in case I ever want to go back. I can see where I started and I can continue exploring. So what I want to do here is just explore what this would look like a little bit thicker. Then we can look at an option that's a bit thinner than what the original. Here I'm just making sure that the lines are aligned properly because I can see little corners sticking out. And the best way to do that is just make things 50% opacity and seeing where they overlay and if they overlay properly. So after doing some exploration, this is my favorite option so far. These were a little bit thin with these objects being a little too large, and these first ones were a little bit too squished and small. So I think this is a pretty good balance here, and let's take this now and we're gonna flatten it. So I'm gonna click this 2 union selection button up top here. And now that we've flattened into one object, later on if we want, we can also add strokes to this, and that will allow us to make it thicker if we wanted to. But for now, I think we're good with this. So let's find a logo type now that will pair nicely with this. To me, this looks like a sporty logo, and I like the triangle resemblance of a letter A. So I'm just gonna name this Active. I know it's kind of basic, but for these purposes, I think it'll work nicely. So let's scale down the type. And whenever I pair a mark and the type, my goal is to balance them visually. So you don't want to have the mark too large because it'll overshadow the logo type. Likewise, you don't want the logo type to be too large. That way it's going to overpower the mark. So the goal is to find a nice balance visually. And I'm just going to draw these grids that I set up to see where I can position this type and how large I should make it so that it's nice and balanced. And right now I'm looking for the center of the logo mark. And if I were just to center it by the center, if I remove these grids, it won't look centered just because of the way that the shape is. It starts large at the bottom as a triangle and it gets thinner up top. So to balance this, I'm gonna have to do this visually instead of perfectly. So what I'm gonna do is just move down the type a little bit play with the scale a little bit more. And I'm starting to like where this is going size-wise. Maybe I'll scale this up a little bit more. Like I mentioned before, the best thing to do is just keep duplicating, keep copying, and keep messing around with the sizes until you find something that works perfectly. So I really like this lockup here. And I'm just gonna add a little trademark, little TM. And we're gonna align it with the top of this type here. So now I have my mark, I have my type, and the last step is to add some color and explore some color options for this. One awesome way to generate color palettes and to explore new colors is using this website. It's called Coolors. You can use it for free. There's a generator that generates color palettes for you with a click of a button, or you can explore trending color palettes. So let's explore some trending palettes and see what we can find here. So I'll just look through here, see what I like. Kind of like this color palette right here. Just gonna screenshot this and then I'll drop it into Figma. So I'm gonna just paste this color palette into Figma, and I'm gonna draw a few squares and just copy the colors over. One thing I wanna try is doing a gradient and then doing a solid color. So let me just scale this down, create some room for color exploration. So this is gonna be our final that we're gonna work with. I'll leave a white version, and then I'm gonna copy this over. We'll add a gradient to this. Let's start with a linear gradient. I'm gonna select this purple pink color over here, and then this teal color, and let's create a smooth gradient. And then let's see what it looks like just in solid color as well. So with these vibrant colors, it's starting to look like a sports brand. So I'm just gonna keep trying, seeing what sticks. So far, I'm leaning towards this pink color or this teal. I wanna try one more thing and adding some blur gradients inside of the object itself. So I'm really liking how this blurry gradient logo is looking. And if you'd like to learn how to make these kind of blurry gradients and different ways to make gradients in Figma, I'll be releasing a video soon, so please subscribe and stay tuned for that. So I'm pretty happy the way this looks, and what I want to do now is just kind of present it and maybe put it on a mock-up, just see how it looks in context, and then show the different versions of the logo vertically, horizontally, black, white, and in a mock-up format. So I'm going to prepare that now. So this is how it showcased the logo if I was going to post it on social, on Dribbble. I want to show that the mark looks nice scaled up. I want to show that it works vertically and horizontally. It works good on black with the color, and then it looks good on a white background with the color. And then put it in some kind of context that makes sense. In this case, it looks like a woman that's out on a run and she's checking her phone. Maybe this is an active app, just to kind of get the imagination going and visualizing the brand a little bit more. And then we just want to see the black and white versions to make sure that the logo works in black and white. If you enjoyed that video and you feel like you learned something, please drop a like, subscribe. Let me know down below in the comments what you want me to create a video about next, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.